How you doing, everybody? It's Wardy here, and we have so much to get into in our latest Big Mets update segment, a late night edition, March 19th, 2025 at the time of recording this. So sit back, relax, buckle up, and get ready for all the latest in Mets land, as I'm currently recording this video just after the Mets finished their 8-2 victory over the Houston Astros. So we'll get into all the key takeaways along with some of the highlights that you see beside me, including guys like Brett the Met Baty, who was tremendous yet again with not just the bat, but this time the glove too. And that's really important as we evaluate Baty, Acuna, and others at that second base position leading into the regular season. And not only did Baty look sharp today, and not only is everything in line for him to crack this Mets roster, but he may very well run away with that second base position that we broke down in a video yesterday. So check it out in case you guys haven't already, because not only do we have to talk about Baty, we have to get into the continued home run dominance, which is, yes, the polar bear and Pete Alonso. Tyrone Taylor going gap to gap galore here against a very solid Houston Astros team. A lot of key takeaways with guys like WardyNYM as well. And then on the pitching end, David Peterson was nothing short of fantastic against this Astros club. We'll get into his key performance, as well as guys like AJ Minter, who actually looked vulnerable for the first time this spring, versus guys like Ryan Stanek and Garrett, who are looking very sharp otherwise out of the bullpen. And of course, guys, why you maybe clicked on this video, Matt Allan, Mets, one of their key pitching prospects, who, mind you, hasn't pitched an organized ball since they drafted him under the Brodie Van Wagenen era, is not only ramping up and healthier than ever this spring, but is touching 99 on the gun. A lot of reason to be excited, because not only do we have a key update on him, but we have an even more important one on the Simone Southpaw himself and Manaea. So let's break it down, everybody. Thank you so much for smashing a like and subscribe on as your first chime in. It means a lot. And let's get into this one right away by getting into those key takeaways, as I alluded to. And it starts with that 8-2 Mets victory over the Houston Astros. And I appreciate the fact that the Mets finally decided to show up with some offense, but it's not that we need it in every spring training game. It doesn't really matter the end result of said game. We just care about position battles, individual player performance, pitchers getting ramped up, the basics in spring training. But given the fact that the Mets haven't hit pretty much at all outside of my spring training trip from March 8th to the 13th, they were averaging 7 runs a game when I was there in Port St. Lucie, and they haven't hit a lick pretty much since then. They made up for it and then some today, which I certainly appreciate. But when we get into this Mets lineup today, again, they had a lineup that was pretty much exactly what you could expect on opening day or close to it. Francisco Lindor batting leadoff, Juan Soto in the 2-hole, Polar Bear Pete Alonso batting third, Vientos batting fourth, fifth was Nimmo, sixth was Marte at DH, seventh was Terrence, eighth was Baty at the second base position, and ninth was Tyrone Taylor. And when we talk about some guys that certainly stood out on the offensive end, we're going to get into a bigger discussion on Brett the Met Baty here shortly, but let's first highlight a man that stood out for all the right home run reasons, and that, of course, is going to be the Polar Bear and Pete Alonso. Pete going 1 for 4 with a home run and 3 RBIs. You love to see it. A very stereotypical Pete Alonso outing where he gets one swing, one drive to make quite the difference. And I love to see Alonso hitting with runners in scoring position. Even in spring training, that means a lot to someone like me, who really saw him labor as much as he did throughout the entire course of the 162 last year, up until Devin Williams gave him a pitch he simply could not miss, and the wild card, and the rest is history. I want to see Alonso get off to a hot start this year and really hopefully find more consistency, not only with his swing, but his ability to go opposite field the way that he did so greatly in the 2022 season especially. He's been trying to get back to more of the 2022 Pete Alonso, and we've seen strides of greatness not only from his postseason run a year ago, but now what we're seeing so far this spring. So Alonso, who was off to initially a very hot spring, cooled off for a bit. Nice to see him get the home run accolade today. He was one of the few boppers that, again, was going home run galore for the Mets in this one, which I'm never going to complain about. And for Alonso now, as he continues to get locked and loaded array for the regular season, my question to all you Mets fans watching this is simply the following. Do you think Pete Alonso is going to thrive like never before, batting predominantly in the 3-hole for the Mets, or do you think he's going to find himself transitioning back into that normal cleanup 4 spot because of it's just more natural for him, and maybe he has some early struggles in the 3 spot? Because I love having Alonso batting third. I think it makes endless sense in the sense of you want your 3 best batters getting as many at bats as possible. Lindor 1, Soto 2, and Alonso 3 enables that ability, especially for the countless games, the hundreds of games that Alonso's missed throughout his career where he didn't even get an at bat in the first inning because the Mets went 3 up, 3 down without a problem. So to have Alonso getting a guaranteed first at bat should hopefully first any at-bat should guarantee not only hopefully more home runs, more runs driven in to guys like Soto and Lindor, true plate setters, if they're not having the home run and gap-to-gap heroics themselves. I understand the counter but behind maybe wanting one more person to go in front of Alonso, but I also understand why Mendoza and Stearns have the current way of thinking that they do. We see the Dodgers do something very similar to this with their three-headed monster usually, and the Freemans, the Mookies, the Otanis of the world that we saw against this Mets team in the first half of the regular season last year especially. Let's see if the Mets are going to keep this up throughout the course of the 162, but most importantly, how do you think he's going to perform in that 3-hole? Do you think it makes most sense for him, or do you like him batting fourth where he's been for the majority of his career? Let me hear it, everybody, and thank you so much for exactly that, because listen, Alonso wasn't the only key standout when we talk about the offense in this one. We, of course, have to get into, yes, Brett the Met Baty, because Baty was not only clearly turning heads on the offensive output, including not just a double, but a triple as well, getting past the first baseman there that we saw going down the first base line. Baty exemplified everything that you could hope for from not only power ability, hitting that, again, what was a triple, even though it was more on the ground, and then flashing the leather with an absolute web gem of a play there at second base, too, with a great diving stop throughout the game. Both he and Mark Vientos had some great defensive plays that we saw in the infield today, and hopefully this is a continuation as well we get into the regular season, because as you see the stat line down below, no, that isn't just his average from this past game, and I actually apologize, everybody. I realize that it says RBI next to 333. Please acknowledge my typo. If I don't have at least one typo, clearly Wardy isn't doing something right, but jokes aside, that was supposed to say average, so a 333 average for Brett Baty so far this spring with over 1,000 OPS. Safe to say that he is doing exactly what has been as advertised of Brett Baty and recent spring trainings, but the big bugaboo has been transitioning to the major league level. We've seen Baty show the defensive upside at the hot corner, at second base to a degree, at shortstop if you really need him there in a pinch, late game, say for a guy like Lindor as a backup shortstop option. The point is that Baty has been absolutely grinding it out big time to be that true utility man option for the Mets, but now with Jeff McNeil going down with injury, there's not only an opening at second base, but that position's up for grabs, baby. And if it ain't going to be Acuna, it might as well be a guy like Brett Baty who can try to win that position, hopefully never look back throughout the course of the year. That means it's a great problem to have if you're the Mets when McNeil gets back from injury, and then you can see what is best fit if he makes more sense in the corner outfields, maybe he's more expendable, or for a guy in Baty, if he can stay consistent, what's it going to mean for the remainder of the regular season for him and staying in the Mets organization? A lot of good problems to have if you're the Mets, and if Brett Baty can be more than what has been truly a quad A player, a guy that has simply been dominant, Barry Bonds-esque at the AAA level in his limited sample sizes, and then at the major league level, we've seen him exemplify those strong defensive abilities at times, as well as the home run heroics. But can we make sure that the bat doesn't completely fall off the face of the earth, where he goes back to being a ground ball merchant 2 weeks into the regular season? That's the big question, and that's the big test with Brett Baty that we will find out, because it goes without saying it's nothing short of pretty much a guarantee now that Brett Baty will not only be cracking this Mets roster, but will have a greater opportunity than ever to try to run away with a position again, the same way that he's had great opportunities in recent years to try to run away with the hot corner before a guy like Mark Vientos simply took over and never looked back himself. But guys, continue to let me know all your thoughts on Brett the Met Baty and how optimistic or pessimistic you've been about his performance this spring, and what you expect from him throughout the course of the 162, with the assumption that he's cracking this Mets roster, because Baty wasn't the only key offensive standout that we have to make note of in this matchup, because other guys certainly stood out too. Baty really stood out to me in the sense that he not only got the offense started with the doubles and the triples, but mind you, he was doing this against Ronel Blanco. That was all the more impressive. You're doing this against one of the key starters in that Astros rotation for the year. Even with it having an asterisk, knowing it's against the Astros in spring training, it's important to make note when you're hitting against good pitchers. And Ronel Blanco blossomed as a veteran pitcher that came out of nowhere last year internally for the Astros, and I'm pretty sure he threw a no-no, if I'm not mistaken. He was just electric, or at least a complete game shutout at least once. He was dominant. But Blanco, against the Mets in this matchup, he went a total of the following, everybody: 3.2 innings, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts on 4 hits. Not complaining about that. And then add insult to injury for the Astros. Who are the other pitchers that the Mets beat up on the most in this matchup? It's the former Mets now foe, that being a Rafi Montero, who many of you guys know, former Mets starter slash reliever type that just never blossomed because we didn't have a pitching lab when he was here back in the day, especially in the mid to late 2010s. But then Miguel Castro as well, the Mets were able to hit on too, which you're never going to complain about. The doubles, Tyrone Taylor was a doubles machine in this game. Not only did he have one, but he had 2 doubles on the day. The Mets had extra base hits galore in this one. You had Baty who had the double, he had the triple as well. You had Taylor with 2 doubles. Starling Marte ripped himself a double, so he got in on the action too. Alonso had the 3-run hater that we saw. The Mets, we saw in this matchup a total of offense. They left 10 on base, but they were 4 for 15 with runners in scoring position. So even 4 for 15, they still scored a total of 8 runs and out hit the Astros in this matchup 12-6. WardyNYM also looked very good, which was great to see him in left field today and look competent there. Him obviously getting back from the plantar fasciitis and dealing with the right knee soreness, so he's continuing to look positive and trending in the right direction. He was 2 for 4 in this matchup, including what was a very nice RBI that we saw from him. So Nimmo getting the offense started as well in this matchup. You're never going to complain about that. So a lot of things to take away on the positive end offensively for a change versus it usually being on the negative end, everybody. And guys, we're now going to get into the pitching because there's a lot to say here on guys like David Peterson, AJ Minter, Reed Garrett, and then we will get into more on Manaea and Matt Allan on those key pitching updates. Before we move forward into today's video, let me first put you guys onto our sponsor here at SeatGeek. Because guys, as you can tell, I've been using the SeatGeek app well before they became an official sponsor here, thanks to Mets tickets, Rangers tickets, Knicks tickets, concerts, you name it. We got you covered here in the SeatGeek app. And not only do they have over 28 million downloads, making them the #1 rated ticketing app in the game today, and over 70,000 events to choose from, there's one key factor which has stood out from SeatGeek in my opinion, which is why I've been actively using them as much as I've had over the past couple years, and that has been their rating scale. It's very different from other things I've seen in the sense that you go right in the SeatGeek app, you're looking to purchase your latest Mets tickets for the 2025 season, right? And then you get a rating scale 1 to 10, which tells you what is the best bang for your buck. So if I'm going to go click on one ticket, it may give me a rating scale anywhere from 8 to 10 with the color green, and that tells me that's a really good value, a good bang for your buck, and I should probably go and get that ticket. Whereas if I go after another ticket that maybe is on a scale 1 to 5 and isn't more the red, that's telling me I should probably defer away. That isn't going to be the best bang for my buck, and I could do better elsewhere there still in the SeatGeek app. They're fair and honest, and that's really stood out a lot to me. And don't worry, guys, I got you covered here because we have the official promo code at WARDY10. That is WARDY10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. And the best part is, it doesn't just need to be for Mets tickets. It can be for whatever you guys want to buy tickets for. So if it's for the Mets 2025 season, whether it's for the upcoming hockey and NBA runs that we have right now, playoff-wise, are right around the corner at the time of recording this, or if you guys want to get in on concert, comedy show action, the way that I currently have my Shane Gillis tickets queued up well before SeatGeek was even a sponsor here for his April show, as well as Creed with Daughtry and someone else I actually have for my parents to see this summer as a late holiday gift for them. So whatever you guys want to buy on the ticketing scene, make sure you do it here with our awesome friends at SeatGeek, and also make sure you head over to the description down below and make sure you click in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account, so that way you can use it later. Shout out to SeatGeek once more for being an amazing sponsor here on the platform. Alrighty, folks, now let's get into David Peterson, because he casually had himself quite the night here against an Astros lineup, which, mind you, had plenty of starters in there. You know, we saw Jose Altuve make some botched plays there that we saw in left field. I didn't even mention yet because Juan Soto did have an RBI today, but it was like on a sac fly. That was thanks to an error because Jose Altuve tried to make a routine play in left field. Mind you, it's Jose Altuve, just a smidge taller than me at best, right? He's a short schmuck just like me. Playing left field, it's, you just saw him bobble for a second in the highlights. It isn't going to bode too well, and we've already seen him with his fair share of struggles so far this spring, trying to transition to the outfield for the first time in his career when he's been in the bigs for at least the past 10 to 15. Kind of hard to do, right? So, no less, Altuve had that bobble, but he was just one of many starters. Isaac Paredes was in the lineup, Yordan Alvarez. Mind you, the Mets did very good against these guys. Yainer Diaz, Jeremy Pena. We saw Rogers at second base, Chas McCormick in there. So, again, a lot of the starters that you can expect from the Astros this year. And Mets pitching and David Peterson in particular handled them just fine. David in particular went 5 shutty against this Astros lineup today, going 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and now has a .57 ERA this spring. I think David Peterson's ready for the regular season. I don't know about you guys. Peterson, who posted a sub-3 ERA, even though his expected numbers were, pushing much higher than that. He has not been an analytics darling at all over the years in Peterson, but coming back from hip surgery last year in June, we all saw how dominant he was right away. His ability to kind of manipulate his pitches in a sense to be more of a ground ball pitcher one night, then I'm going to be more of a strikeout pitcher the next night. He was very creative in how he would attack certain lineups, but I really commend Peterson's composure more than anything. He has really been, in my opinion, when you look over the past year, one of the most reliable guys for the Mets in a lot of ways, especially down the stretch from the last year. And if it isn't for a guy like Peterson, the Mets maybe don't have any success against the Milwaukee Brewers, especially in the regular season, because let's not forget, I'm pretty sure the Mets got absolutely hosed in a series of Milwaukee not long before they had obviously their wild card there. And the only plus in that series, I think, was towards the end. David Peterson at least gave us that one win to salvage the series and what was otherwise very underwhelming start in there. Again, don't quote me on that, but memory's a little hazy. I remember that series towards the end of the regular season last year, and Peterson stepped up, if I'm not mistaken, when few others did, and finally gave us a good outing there in Milwaukee. But Peterson, we have lofty expectations for this year, especially with guys like Senga, where you don't know exactly how much innings you're going to get out of him, how healthy he's going to be throughout the course of the 162. Montas and Manaea already down with injury, even though we have some very good positive Manaea news that we'll get into before we wrap up this show. In the case of Peterson, we need him. We need to rely on him. We need to lean on that shoulder a bit. And in the case of Peterson, he needs to go out there and continue to be that bulldog, that 6-7 inning guy, giving us anywhere from 3 earned run or less ball every time out there. And that has really been his MO for the past year plus. So it's great to see him carving up batters the way that he is right now and just continue to work and fine-tune that zone a bit. I'm not exactly sure what he maybe changed with the Arsenal a bit more today to utilize more than maybe another start this spring because we didn't really get any information through Baseball Savant today because the game wasn't broadcast. It's only through one stream in which the highlights I'm showing you guys right there. So not a lot to share, shed some love on it when breaking down the Arsenal, but Peterson was as advertised, and now this spring training, everybody, it creates the greater, not necessarily the greater question, but the greater appreciation for David Peterson. Now this spring, 15.2 innings, has allowed a total of just 7 hits, 2 runs, only one of them earned, 7 walks, 12 strikeouts, and that .57 ERA. That's pretty good. I think that's a pretty good spring training thus far if you're David Peterson, if you ask me. You know what I think is also pretty good? Seeing what guys in Ryan Stanek and Garrett did against the Astros, because they both had themselves perfectly fine outings. Ryan Stanek was touching the high 90s, yet again on the gun, and against his former friend there in the Astros, where he played multiple years with them, had playoff success with them too, carved him up without a problem, had a shutty inning, no hits, no walks, no runs, no nothing, and a pair of strikeouts. Then we saw A.J. Minter come in and actually get worked a bit. A.J. Minter had far and away his worst outing in the spring, .2 innings, allowed 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. So they were reading A.J. Minter pretty well today, who, mind you, is still trying to ramp that velocity back up, coming back from the surgery this past offseason. So bear in mind with Minter, I wouldn't really buy into any stock with the spring performance or lack thereof too much. For him, the big question is he going to be ready for opening day? Is he going to be in the Mets opening day bullpen, or is A.J. Minter going to be with them, say, at absolute latest, a week after that or so, a slow roll to begin the year? Because Minter's been feeling good, and obviously he didn't have the results he was hoping for tonight, but I think that goes, one, a little bit in hand with his velocity. He might have been hitting his pitches a little bit too much, and it's only, his 3rd spring outing as he's coming back from a surgery, so he's got some ramping up to do, and we understand that. Garrett, however, looked fantastic, as he not only came in for a squirrel sitting, but Buddy just casually struck out the side. So Garrett doing Garrett things, looking nasty, as always, with the splitty as well, with the sink piece, with the slider, sweeper mix, everything that you love that isn't a four-seam fastball is what you're getting in Garrett, and that's exactly what you want. You don't want the meatball, but give me the triple S's, whether it's a sink, the splitty, the sweep, anything in the S range is what David Peterson and Carlos Mendoza favor. That's what they love from their pitchers and their bullpen especially, and that's what I'm loving too, is it's equating to immediate success, and he just absolutely carved those puppies up. And you know who's also going to carve up a lot of people this year? It's obviously going to be a guy like Manaea, and Manaea, folks, we have a positive Manaea health update to get into. It's brief, so I'm not even going to play the audio, but I'm going to show you where it stems from here, because this is courtesy of SNY and X earlier today, which state the following, everybody, from Carlos Mendoza. He's throwing. I think he's up to 90 feet. So when asked about Manaea, positive progress, everybody. As we know, a number of days ago, it was announced by Mendoza that thankfully everything was cleared through his imaging. He's good to go and to start ramping up back from the oblique strain. That was huge for Sean Manaea, our Samoan southpaw, our true ace down the stretch in the second half last year, especially after changing that arm slot angle and being Chris Sale the way that Sean Manaea was in his own very unique tribal way. But in the case of Manaea, we know how much we're going to rely on him this year, and after signing that 3-year, $75 million deal or so with the Mets, it's imperative that we make sure that we have this guy out eating as many innings as possible this year and being a bulldog in doing so. So to get Sean ramping back up to 90 feet is great. Hopefully we'll have him back out there in simulated games, ramping up in the minor leagues, and then he'll be back with the Mets sometime mid to late April is where everything is currently directing towards. And the only way he touches May is if there is, God forbid, any type of setback where they really just play, you know, extra cautious with him, which would be a very Mets thing to do. So don't be shocked if that happens, but let's hope for now that everything continues in the direction that it's been. Mid to late April is when we can expect the Samoan southpaw to return to this Mets team and to this rotation. But guys, we have a fantastic story that I have to reiterate once more, and this was first reported from Anthony DiComo earlier today, and you guys can see it right there. Matthew Allan. Matt Allan, who, mind you, top draft pick by the Mets, that they spent, I think it was $3 to $4 million on that range in like slot bonus, which was like ridiculously high for Matt Allan. But Brodie Van Wagenen was so determined to draft this kid back, I think, 2019 or so, and it happened. The problem, though, for Matt is that after the Mets drafted Matt, he went down right away with injury. And since then, not only did he have Tommy John surgery, but he's had multiple surgeries trying to fix nerval issues that he's had in hand with the Tommy John surgery. So that's really derailed Matt Allan, who, mind you, is only 23 years of age now, is younger than Brandon Sproat, just for some context out there, but hasn't pitched in any true Mets minor league games. He will not only now do that this year, but this will be a massive test to see how fast a guy like Matthew Allan, hopefully Matt Allan can be striking at Matt Olson in the next couple years, right? But Matt Allan is a guy that we just need to see get some innings, start, whether it's in St. Lucie, wherever they're going to have him start, work his way up. The fact that he's touching 99 on the gun is so exciting to see. This guy has worked unbelievably hard the past 4+ years just to get back on the mound and to be a healthy pitcher. That's all he's been dying for. He's been in Mets spring trainings every year for the past number of years, but he's been like on the outside looking in. He's been the guy part of the organization longer than most right now, longer than even Steve Cohen, mind you, and he has yet to even toe the rubber and get out there for normal Mets minor league games. So this is a huge test for him, and if Matt Allan can not only showcase that velocity and the consistency that can come along with it, well, the Mets may just have themselves something very special here, and a guy that they viewed very highly when they first drafted, and a lot of us didn't even want to consider trading a Matt Allan type of a prospect for some key pieces over the years. Obviously, things have changed drastically since then, but Matt Allan just wants to stay healthy and hopefully provide something for this Mets team. So, Mets fans, my big question to each and every one of you is, what is your 2025 expectation for Matt Allan? How do you expect him to fare? If you had to summarize, how many innings do you think a guy like him could get this year at the minor league level? Will he be stretched out as a full-time starter? Will he be utilized more so as a reliever type that they just want to get ramped up? Mind you, he had 4 strikeouts across 2 innings that we saw in the Mets backfields. Great stuff to see. I just can't get over the fact that he hasn't pitched in like any organized ball in 4 years, and he's casually touching 99 today. That's exciting, and that is exactly the kind of thing you hope to see to pair in a Mets pitching lab, where he will be continuing to work extensively in as he is slowly but surely ramping back up, coming back from all those serious ailments over the past couple years. But Mets fans, between Matt Allan, between Sean Manaea, and everyone else that we broke down, please let us know all your key takeaways in the comments down below. It's greatly appreciated. And thank you all so much for watching our latest Big Mets Update segment presented here on the WardyNYM platform. Thank you guys again. Be on the lookout, as we're going to have some very exciting content coming out leading up to opening day. We'll be having a season preview come out at some point, probably in a live show fashion, barring changes, before the season actually begins. For my members only, everybody, day before the season begins, we're doing a members only live stream. So if you guys want to become a member of the platform, ask questions, as it'll be a full live members only Q&A that I'll be interacting with you guys for probably north of an hour or so. We'll be having a great discussion just with my members, and you guys can become a member today by clicking the link in the description of the video here, or by going on to the YouTube page and clicking become a member that way. That way you get cool Mets emojis, little perks. I shout you guys out more in our live shows. We have a lot of fun building this community, in which we already have 100 strong members, plenty more already in the WardyNYM community. So hope you guys join and be a part of it. We got that live show coming right before Mets opening day. Barring changes too, it'll probably be around 7 p.m. Eastern, but I'll make sure you guys know with an official announcement on the channel in the coming days. Be on the lookout. We also have some really exciting things coming, guys. You know, we've been a weekly Bleacher Report host in the Bleacher Report app for MLBY topics, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, 5 p.m. sharp every single week, all year long in the BR app. So check out the content there. But we have more things coming, folks. Be on the lookout. It's going to be exciting. Thank you guys again for watching. As always, no matter what, let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.